The answer is yes, and yes. What's up, guys? Okkotsu here, and we want to do a breakdown slash discussion on whether or not Gota and his... I want to call it a battle, but so far it's kind of just been a beatdown. I know it's two punches. I'm messing around, Gota fans. I'm messing around, Yuta fans. Please don't hurt me. But the battle between Gota and Sukuna, whether that ripped the spotlight away from Yuji Itadori, did irreparable damage to him, and ultimately made Yuji's main character status come into question once again. We have a decent chunk to talk about in oh so little time. So let's not waste any more time, and let's hop right into it. Editing me, are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do happen to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. Any other fun fact? Yuji. My beloved baby boy. You know, I'm a proud father, you know? More proud than Jin ever got to be, considering he got the soul slurped out of him. I'm only half kidding. How did he go? Do we even know how Jin got? I'm pretty sure it was soul slurping. Literally, physically, cursed energy, one way or another. But with that being the case, Yuji Itadori, he's been taking it kind of rough for the past while now. Obviously, ever since 257, Yuji's been cooking. Even in his worst moments, he's kind of been cooking. Think of how Yuji was going absolutely crazy, absolutely buku bonkers against Sukuna, letting Black Flash after Black Flash after Black Flash after Black Flash after Black Flash, got Toto back in the mix, and when he got mixing with Yuji, you know, the things got even crazier in 8th Black Flash. It was looking real tragic, real automatic. It was next level stuff for Yuji go to the door, but then he kind of got, one-tapped. Like one tap. And this ain't no, special, crazy, oh no, Sukuna had to whip out, max output cleave or world slash. No. He got one tapped. And, notably, it wasn't just a one tap, but, you ever seen ragdoll physics in video games that are, a little bit exaggerated? The hit never matches the actual amount of force that the character animation put behind the punch. Kind of like a dramatic finish in Dragon Ball FighterZ, except, it happens off a weird hit, so it's not, a heavy or anything. It, happens off a medium, and then they go flying through the wall, and then it's, dramatic finish. Explosive hit, whatever it's called. Destructive, there we go, destructive finish. Yeah, it was kind of like that. Sukuna, taking his remaining arm, hit Yuji once, and Yuji literally do a backflip. That is actually crazy. And obviously, 261 proceeds to not drop Yuji for the rest of the chapter, and 262, as short as it is, only displays Yuji right here at the start, and then proceeds to, lock Broski away for the rest of the chapter. It basically becomes the Gota show, the Gojo and Yuta fusion cell. And naturally, this has kind of opened up a door again, a door that, is... I'm not gonna say, I was gonna say it's bad. Not necessarily, because I think even the people who make the argument know that it's not really an argument to be had. Essentially, what this has done is open up the door to Yuji not being the main character again, right? Because, how are you, the main character, tweaking off 8 Black Flashes, having face tanked to full output my level and shrine for a couple seconds after withstanding it in a symbol domain? How are you getting one tapped? One tap by a heartless, 2 armless, eyeless, smacked around, beat down, output, out the drown? Doesn't even make sense. But, essentially, how are you getting beat down by this kind of Sukuna? A Sukuna is so diabolically devious that he can't even make the original hand sign anymore. He legit has to pull out a crazy new fancy one that he copped from the last person he boxed. Obviously, it's looking pretty tragic. And this leads to a twofold question, a two-step question. Number one, does this count as spotlight stealing? I'd say kinda, sorta. Once again, like I mentioned, Yuji has been on a roll since 257. He had Ino coming in, clutching up. He had Toto coming in, clutching up. He had the Similar Main coming in, clutching up. He was going crazy. He was going buku bonkers. Clearly, the spotlight was on Yuji. We had Yuji, and you were on any side of the scaling community in JJK, we were putting Yuji up there. We were like, Yuji top 5, Yuji top 4. So I was seeing some people say Yuji top 3. We were going crazy. We were Let me not. I'm gonna stop right there. I'm gonna stop right there before I go too deep into the darkness. Call me Sora in Kingdom Hearts 3 and Drop Distance. But with that being the case, actually three. Not Dream Drop Distance. I don't ever want to be Dream Drop Distance Sora. But with that being the case, with Goda showing up, completely overriding the chapter, leading Yuji to get just one tap like this, and immediately go into an entirely short chapter that only shows off our MC for about one panel, and it's him literally being, left out of the main fight against the big bad final villain, quote unquote. Yeah, it's looking pretty tragic. I'd say this is a pretty solid case of spotlight stealing, because the spotlight was on Yuji, and now it got completely shifted away from Yuji over to Yuta. And that's kind of rough. But that leads to two diverging paths that kind of will reconnect as we get to the end of the video. One, is this bad writing and or detrimental to the story at large? And two, does this mean Yuji's not the main character? I think we'll address the easier one, and it's the main character Yuji stuff. Like I mentioned, even the people who say Yuji's not the main character, he's too weak, he doesn't have that much of an impact on the story, he doesn't even feel like a main character, he gets less screen time than other characters. Like, no matter who actually says that, we're all reading the same manga. No matter how many times Yuji gets slobber knocked and knocked away and doesn't even appear in the flashback and kind of gets done absolutely dirty, devious, and diabolical, like, no matter how bad it gets, to be fair, he does appear in this flashback right here, but, like, no matter what, unfortunately, I think everybody knows, from the biggest Gojo Glazer out there to the mightiest Yuta Yucker, even the finest Sukuna Slomper this side of the Mississippi, they're not the main character. Who's the one who's made it this far? Who's the one who's been on this battlefield for what? We're on 262? Yuji spawned in 238. This man has been here for months at this point, continuously. He's always been on the battlefield. Unlike almost everyone else who's like teleported in, teleported out, got knocked away, got knocked out. Now, for the most part, they've been chilling. Yuji's been hopping in domain clashes. He's been hopping in raw hands. He's been chasing down Sukuna for raw hands. He's been here for a hot minute. He's been low-key backpacking by nerfing Sukuna's output as much as he had. And obviously Sukuna's own playful demeanor playing into that. But ultimately, Yuji's the main character. That's not going to change. Like, don't get me wrong. Gege is subversive to a lot of people's belief that he's so subversive that it actually hurts the narrative at times. And while I'm 50-50 on that, but I kind of lean towards no, it doesn't, he's not that subversive. Yuji ultimately still is our MC, and nothing's going to change that. Even as disrespectful and diabolical as this single punch is, and as much damage as that's done to Yuji's hype and reputation, to the point where I've seen people kick him out of the top 10 again, which is devious and diabolical. There's no way you're looking at post-awakened, cleave, blood manipulation, symbol domain having, awakened, I said awakened twice, Yuji, and being like, he's not even top 10. Come on now. I still see people saying Mahito beats him. Hanami? The Dagon Glazers? I didn't even know there were Dagon Glazers until I started seeing Dagon above Yuji. Dagon Glazers exist. The Jogo fans? I actually give it to the Jogo fans. You can make some meme arguments. But, like, that's the thing. Outside of the meme arguments, King Yuji at a top 10 for this one incident is crazy. Realize your favorite character probably gets done like this. Because quite literally, we see the favorite character, or at least a lot of people's favorite characters literally fused together, get done like this immediately. So, like, he may get knocked around, he may get beat up, but no, this doesn't suddenly make Yuji not the main character. Yuji's whole thing as a main character is the fact that he just isn't swole. Or at least not swole to the degree he needs to be to deal with the ops at the time. We've seen this as just a point throughout the entire series. Remember, bro was never swole enough to 1v1 Mahito. He had to rely on Sukuna, he had to rely on Nanami, he had to rely on Todo, he had to rely on so many other people. So now, that man was never just swole. The only time he's been like swole to the point where he handled his ops immediately by himself was the Grasshopper Curse. Yo, the Grasshopper Curse. Like, come on now. Don't get brand new. Don't be shocked and bamboozled. Oh no, Yuji didn't just 1v1 beat Sukuna. Obviously not. Come on. I think it's okay. And once again, I do think this is actually good for the long run, because I actually like the Goto twist. I think it's good writing. I've made a whole video talking about that. But once again, we're going to treat the idea of the Goto twist out of there. We're just talking about whether or not this one incident and Goto coming in and taking over is spotlight stealing, which I do agree it is, because it does, just in definition, it takes the spotlight off of Yuji, but I don't think it takes the spotlight off him so much that suddenly Yuta's the main character. Yuta has only existed in the manga for probably a solid stretch of 30 chapters. Like, if you were to take all of Yuta's career, even then, is that highballing it? That may straight up be highballing it now that I think about it. Because, like, what? the Yuta versus Yuji fight, a little bit of the preparation before the Killing Games. He doesn't appear at all in the Akari arc. Then he disappears for a long chunk after that. Shows up back in Sendai. Disappears for a long chunk after that. Appears at the start of the Goto versus... So yeah, he's really barely been in the manga. Like Yuta, in terms of panel time, nowhere near the amount of panel time as Yuji. So, no. Yuta showing up and taking the spotlight away from Yuji does not suddenly make him the main character, doesn't make Sukuna the main character, doesn't make anyone the main character. Yuji is still the main character. But let's leap to the other path I want to talk about. Is it bad writing at this point? And here's the thing, right? I can somewhat see where people are coming from. Because we have been at this for a minute now. I think recently, I think it was like about a month ago, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, we hit the 1 year anniversary of the Shinjuku Showdown starting. Notably, by the time of 262, we're only on part... Where are you? Don't you hide from me. Yeah, we're only on part 34. But remember, there are mandated breaks. Gege goes on a couple of breaks. So, despite only being 34 parts in, we've been at the Inhuman Makio Shinjuku Showdown for a year now. And I think a lot of people do just find the fact that Sukuna is still this powerful, still this strong, still this swole, bad writing. And ultimately, they're kind of just like looking at the clock and being like, when is this going to be over? We've been fighting the same guy for literally a year now. And admittedly, there still have been breaks in that. We've gotten hints of Akari versus Urume. And by hints, I literally mean hints. We've barely gotten any of that. We've gotten the whole Takuma versus Kenjaku scenario. We had Yuta taking out Kenjaku. So we've definitely had our breaks. But I think that's the big motivator, why a lot of people are kind of just like, dude, this sucks, this is bad writing. Because Yuji was finally on a cooking streak. He was finally looking like him. He was screaming at the top of his lungs and tearing Sukuna's heart out and going absolutely buku bonkers and tearing his arms off. We really got to see what those claws were about to do. We saw him hit an 8th black flag. That man was fucking like crazy. So to just rip the spotlight away from him and give it to Yuta or Goda or whatever you want to call him, that's whack. That's bad writing. That's all not necessarily. Because as much as I'm all about Yuji being the main character, I'm all about Yuji being the main character. And one of the main things of him as a main character, like I mentioned, is the idea that he's just not that powerful on his own. And something that works in direct opposition is that Sukuna is that powerful. In fact, he's consistently more powerful than we think. And I think that's okay. Like, Sukuna being this strong after this many nerfs, after literally having his heart torn out or pierced once, then having his heart pierced through again, having his arm sliced apart, and having his arm just barely regenerating after having numerous amounts of brain damage, having to change conditions, binding down. I get it. It's a lot. But realize, this only just affirms, solidifies, codifies, and analyzes, and further dives into the fact that Sukuna really is a calamity. A force of nature. Something transcendent. And I think that's what Gege's mainly trying to show here. He's trying to show two things. One, the idea that Sukuna ultimately is, in fact, just a monster. A creature beyond our comprehension and on levels unbelievable and undeniable. Ultimately, he is a man, a monster, a beast, a creature, an animal who could just go to Okkotsu that mean, juicy, scrundily-umptious work if he really felt like it. Because he's just that guy. Yeah. Him being that strong makes sense. I mean, strong enough to one-shot Yuji? Yeah, makes sense. It doesn't bamboozle me. It's not like this is Joko, or Mahito, or Hanami, or insert earlier series antagonist here. No, this is Sukuna. The guy who we've been building to since chapter 1. So yeah, sure, I'm fine with Yuji still not being enough to take him out right now. Especially considering Sukuna still seems to be no worse for wear. And two, legitimately, I think the spotlight kind of had to be stolen. Because remember the scenario that Yuji was in at the start of 261. Or really at the end of 260, but at the start of 261. Yeah, Sukuna, he was not playing with that boy. You literally see Sukuna being like, hey, I got something for you, big dog. You really think you like that, huh? You really think you built like that for real, for real? Hold on, Maji. I got something for you, nephew. Hear your uncle spit a little bit. Domain expansion. Y'all realize, and I've made videos like counteracting this, but hey, I like messing around. If Goda didn't show up at the exact moment he did, Yuji dies. Like right here, right now. Like, Yuji just dies. Because remember what Toto said. The reason he couldn't save Choso and Yuji from Malevolent Shrine is because they were at the dead center of that bad boy. They were right there. They were not far away in the slightest. So that full range, top of the line, big old juicy 99-second domain would have come in and torn Yuji to shreds. That man had his heart not cleaved, but stuck in Sukuna's his hand stuck in Sukuna's chest cavity. He was not reaching out and going into Simple Domain quick enough. That was not happening. And now there are less targets to focus on. The Sukuna could likely concentrate the output even higher on Yuji and tear him apart one more again. And who knows, that may have led into a second Furnace Wombo combo. If he really felt like it, he had no reason not to. Shoot, he can keep doing it. He's got enough curse energy that he could boundlessly spam domain expansions. Like what exactly did you want Yuji to do in this scenario? Whip out a domain of his own? Start domain clashing? I don't think so. Yuji can't even use blood manipulation properly. His cleave output is low, for one, because he's barely using it. And two, we don't even know if that boy has Dismantle. At least not any variation of it. So yeah, I'd say that despite Goda coming in and stealing the spotlight, it's not bad writing, it just saved Yuji's behind. Because there is no way. And I'll admit, in my reviews, I didn't even think about that. The fact that Yuji just outright would have perished. Like, there's just nothing he could have done. He would have gotten his back blown out. Absolutely. If Goda didn't come out the clutch. And clutch up a little bit. Clutch out a little bit. Without this man here showing up and catching Sukuna's attention, then this whole scenario, where at the start of 262, we see both Yuji and Toto alive and given time to, like, prep and think and work around it, even if it only is, like, 3 minutes, still, that's time they wouldn't have. They would be stuck in Malevolent Shrine with no way to escape. They would have been spread across the 9 realms in nanoseconds. So, is it bad writing that Goda came in and clutched up when he did? No! At least not in my opinion. Is it bad writing that Goda came in and stole the spotlight from Yuji? No! Because he saved Yuji's life. And ultimately, I still think Yuji's weakness is a big part of his character, and a big part of Yuji's character is the struggle against that calamity. That very system that he wants to defeat and work against, and Sukuna is the embodiment of that system. Like, to the utmost degree, there's no one who better embodies the twisted system of Jujutsu than the man whose body is literally perfectly built for it in Ryomen Sukuna. So yeah, I do believe that Yuji did have his spotlight taken away. I do believe that Goda came out of nowhere, came from the top rope, dropped in, elbow kicked Yuji out the spotlight, and now is 1v1 in Sukuna. And I also believe that Yuta just needs some time to get them controls looking right, and then he'll be fine. So give him some time. Let him cook. We're going to see some cooking from Goda. I hope. Please, I hope. But with that being the case, despite the stealing of the spotlight, despite the questioning of whether or not Yuji's the main character, despite all that could come implication-wise or just directly with Yuji being literally knocked away in one punch, I ultimately think three still stand firm. 1, Yuji's the main character. That's not changing anytime soon. Alright? He's not, the series ain't named after him on some Naruto type beat, but he's been here since chapter 1. He's been our POV character. The man's still alive. Unlike a lot of people's faves, including Gojo, including Yuruma, including Kashimo. I know people have completely abandoned Kashimo, but I like Kashimo. He still is one of my faves. And poor Hikari. But with it being the case, Yuji's still the main character, no matter what. 2, the spotlight steal is not bad writing, because it was basically necessary in order to save Yuji Itadori's life. And 3, I think Yuji's fine. He now has time to cook. He has time to prepare. He has time to analyze what's been working and what hasn't been working. He can finally talk with Toto for a little bit to get an understanding of the situation. He can hypothetically get ready to team up with Goda once the domain breaks, and or team up with whoever could now come back, such as Maki. There are so many opportunities that are opened up by the scenario of Goda showing up and taking the weight off of Yuji for a second, and I think it works out fine. Yuji didn't just get knocked out and laid out. He's popped back up immediately. Yuji Itadori, the king's empty vessel, is going to cook, y'all. So please, just give him some time. He was already starting to show us an appetizer. So just get ready for the full meal. But, of course, that's what I think. Please let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you guys think I'm absolutely crazy that in spite of all that I've said in regards to Yuji's narrative, the whole main character stuff, how I think the spotlight still was necessary and still isn't bad writing, that ultimately I'm wrong on all fronts? Yuji ain't the main character. He's a fraudulent MC. Needs to be replaced. He's garbage. He's weak. He's trash. He's doo-doo water. And ultimately, the theft of his spotlight is one of Gege's worst examples of writing. Please let me know all that and more in the comment section down below. But if you made it all the way to the end of this video, please do me a favor and leave the main vow. The main vow. As in the word the, or the main as in like, not the state, but like main as in the main character. Vow as in like binding vow. please leave the main value in the comment section down below. I'd like to thank you so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure to download the notification bell so you know what's up. Well, make sure you hit that little notification bell so you do not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Trust me, apparently people don't get my videos in their sub box. I don't know, I can't explain it, but please make sure you hit the little notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a link to my Patreon in the description down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month to get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You can also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. So those perks will include the live reaction to the very next chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen, ad-free variations of all my videos, and if you become a $25 patron or a $25 member, you can order whatever video you want. Also, I do happen to have my Ko-Fi link down below where you can drop 5 beans for a short video, 25 beans for a long video, or any beans at all. Any support is always greatly appreciated. Now, I'd like to thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with a Pencil, writing off. I'd like to thank you to our $3 members who currently plays Greyhound, Akids Void, Astro, Eternal Flame, King Sukuna, NMA, Real Rare, Paris Arnold, G Prosper, and Red Wolf 4765. And I'd like to thank you to our $5 patrons, Steron, Sean, Sammy, Midnight Lord 21, Kevin Encarnacion, Josh Brown, and A+A. And I'd like to thank you to our $7 patrons, Autumn Mornings Lazo and Fine. And I'd like to thank you to our $10 members, Robbie Uchiha and Jay Warrior. And I'd like to give another thank you to our $10 patrons, Panda Goat, Metal Solid Crisis, Joaquin Munoz, and Joaquin Munoz, along with Idemokami. And I'd like to give a final gargantuan thank you to our $25 patron, Calvin Elder.